Alrighty guys, it's been 2 weeks like we promised. Today's the day. Today, we start working on getting the XF back on the racetrack. Alrighty guys, so it's been 2 years since we've made a video actually doing anything with the car. And in those 2 years, there has been little bits and pieces that have been done. I have maybe shown you guys a couple of them, but let's go back across it. For anyone that's new here, let's check out what's been done and where the car's at. So one of the items we've done since you last seen the car is we fit polycarbonate windows to the car, a WRC rally car style window slider kit, and a couple of NACA ducts which will plumb into the interior. So next up we got a pin-on fiberglass bonnet from Alpha Motorsports. Now this bonnet probably saved, I'd say, nearly 20 kilos. The old bonnet was so heavy, and weight is something that's really important with what we're going to do. We want to get underneath the weight limit for our category, which I believe is 1,300 kilos, and bring the car's weight down as much as possible because we can add it back in later. Now we also removed the old ugly spare wheel well because, as you'll see from the side profile, it was ugly and it weighed a lot. And now all that's left to do with that is just to fill and plate the top. As you can see here, this bonnet it's so light. There's no way I would have been able to do this with the old bonnet. It weighed an absolute ton. Now, once we kind of get the car underneath our weight goal, and that's including getting under the weight goal with me in the car, once that's achieved, then we can add weight back into the car and bring it back up to the weight limit. Like, we want to be just borderline on that weight limit. Now that we've got the bonnet off the car, I can show you a couple of things in the engine bay we've done. So one of the first things you'll notice is we've made spaces for the top of our coilovers because we realised at the last track day the coilovers were bottoming out. We didn't have enough travel, so hopefully this fixes that. The next thing you'll see is we have an RRS strut brace kit just to help try bring some more rigidity into the engine bay and to tie up the front end of the car a little bit. We've also got here a Castlemaine Rod Shop manual brake conversion plate, and then our new hydraulic clutch master. Alrighty guys, so now we're somewhat caught up on where the car's at. Let's get the thing back up on jack stands. That's where it's probably going to stay for a couple of months while we get this thing ready to go. So yeah, let's get up on the jack stands now. One of the last items that I need to still finish off the race shop is a set of quick jacks and race rams. With those two, that combination, it'll make life so much easier. It'll be a 2-second process to get the car up on jack stands, and it'll also come in handy down at the racetrack too. So yeah, that's definitely massively high on the to-do list. So the reason we broke the car 4 years ago is I had what I thought to be the right bell housing, turned out to be the wrong bell housing. It was a V8 one for a V8 T5, not for a 6-cylinder T5, which is what we use. We use that because they're the easiest to find. There's shitloads of them everywhere. They're cheap, and yeah. So that's why we broke it. The input shaft just wasn't set into the back of the engine correctly. And to be fair, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I think it did 8 quarter-mile passes, and then it did 6 laps at Winton. So it did pretty good considering that the input shaft wasn't seated in the back of the engine. But that's what set us back. That's what cost us so much time, and that's what's pretty much stopped the car from running. Then I sold that bell housing. I ordered another one from Castlemaine Rod Shop, and then I made another mistake. So when I ordered this bell housing, I ordered the bell housing for a pre-EFI Windsor. So pretty much what it means is the clutch fork and the clutch slave massively foul our headers, and we'd have to dramatically modify them to fix that. It also meant that our flywheel didn't work because it didn't work with that starter motor location. So we've had to change that and get a new flywheel. So pretty much before we can do anything else, we need to rectify this issue. Now, the way we're going to solve it is we are going to go to a hydraulic fry-up bearing. We're going to ditch the clutch fork and whatnot. It's going to be completely hydraulic clutch setup from now on. That will fix our issue that we have with clearance to the header. The passenger side one, I can just shave that a little bit, shave the bell housing a little bit, and there's no real issue there. So I need to get under the car. I need to measure the throw-up bearing so I can order one so we can fit that to the car. And then we'll be able to put the exhaust, the headers and stuff back on, put the tail shaft in because we'll need to order a new tail shaft because that'll be slightly too short now. And then we can start doing the brakes, running new brake lines and whatnot, and finally put this car together. So let's get under the car, let's measure that. Realistically, I should have just sent this bell housing back to Castlemaine, got the one that I actually needed,
the car would have been all back together and running by now. But we already started going down the rabbit hole, converting it to a hydraulic clutch setup, and in the long run, that probably is the better setup to do. So yeah, once we've got this measurement, we can flick that across, order the throw-up bearing that we need, and get this thing back on the road. So once we had the measurement we needed, which was 75.1 millimeters, we flicked that across to who we needed to, and then hopefully soon we can get this gearbox back in the car and get it going again.
Alrighty guys, so we've sent that information off to Melwood Automotive. They're who we're going to be ordering that hydraulic throw-up bearing through. And then we'll probably eventually send that gearbox that we've got there. That's going to go straight in the car. We're going to order so we're going to purchase a second one. We'll flick that across to them. They can rebuild it. They can work their magic on it. I've seen them do a couple of T5s and go behind circuit cars that make a lot more power than this, and they seem to work really well. So they seem to last really well. So we'll do that. Then that one will become a spare. We'll probably eventually do the same thing, flick that across once we have the budget to do that as well. And then we've got two pretty solid T5s. I'll probably become somewhat of a T5 collector over the next few years because, listen, they break. We're using that gearbox because, first of all, it's cheap. It's somewhat readily available. You can find them on Marketplace a lot. And they're super light. It's such a light gearbox that I want to stick with it. I want to make it work because I really love the fact that it's so light. So yeah, once we've got that part, I dare say it'll probably be a couple of weeks or whatnot. But we'll be able to chuck that in, chuck the gearbox in, and then everything else can start getting completed. So, because we need the gearbox in before we can order a tail shaft. We need the gearbox in before I can put the headers back on and finalize the rest of the exhaust. And then once all that stuff's done, then I can do the manual brake conversion on the car. So which we've already somewhat dummied it up and whatnot. I just need to run some lines and everything, and I need to have it all ready. I am so bloody excited. I hope you guys are excited. I'm pretty confident that as the year goes, these videos are going to start ramping up, and they're going to be getting more and more interesting every time, more and more exciting every time. I know we didn't do a lot today on the car, but we got it to the point that I really wanted to. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm pumped. I hope you guys are pumped. These videos are going to keep getting more interesting and more exciting and whatnot. I know we didn't do a hell of a lot today, but it's getting close. It's getting very close, and yeah, it's going to get better. But anyways, guys, that's the end of this one. I'll see you guys in the next episode.